I stood in the dim glow of my childhood kitchen, the wooden spoon trembling in my grip as I smashed it against the marble counter, the sharp crack echoing like a gunshot while my sister's voicemail played on loop. "You think you can expose me? I'll bury you first." The bitter scent of burnt garlic from last night's dinner hung heavy in the air, mixing with the metallic tang of my own rage boiling over. Flour dusted my apron like fresh snow, but my hands shook too hard to knead the dough for the family pie we'd always made together. Her words sliced deeper than any knife. Years of shared secrets, late-night confessions under the quilt, now twisted into this venom. I hit delete, but the poison lingered, fueling the fire I'd stoke until she begged at my feet. Life before that call felt like a warm embrace from the sun on a lazy afternoon in our family orchard, where the air always carried the sweet, sticky aroma of ripening peaches clinging to the branches. I woke each morning to the soft coo of mourning doves outside my window, their feathers rustling against the screen as sunlight filtered through gauzy curtains, warming the cotton sheets tangled around my legs. My sister, Lena, and I shared everything. Our two-story house on the edge of town, with its creaky oak floors that groaned underfoot like old bones protesting the day. I'd brew coffee in the chipped blue pot, its rich, earthy steam curling up to mingle with the faint lavender from her soap as she shuffled in, hair tousled, laughing about nothing. We built this life after Mom passed, splitting the mortgage payments precisely down the middle, her graphic design gigs funding the renovations, while my bakery supplied the neighborhood with flaky croissants whose buttery layers melted on the tongue. Mornings blurred into routines that stitched us tighter, her sketching logos at the breakfast table scarred by years of spills, me piping icing in swirling patterns nearby, the cool smoothness of royal icing gliding under my spatula, contrasting the oven's blasting heat that turned my cheeks pink. Evenings, we'd collapse on the plaid sofa, its worn wool scratching our bare arms, binging shows while splitting a bowl of caramel popcorn that stuck sweetly to our fingers. She was my rock, the one who held my hand through the funeral, her palm clammy yet steady against mine in the rain-slicked cemetery, petals from Mom's lilies wilting under our boots. We'd vowed then, no secrets, no divides. I noticed her fiddling with Dad's old brass keychain more lately, the one engraved with our initials intertwined, twisting it absent-mindedly while staring at her phone screen's blue glow reflecting in her eyes. But I brushed it off. That's just Lena, always lost in her designs, I thought. One crisp evening, as golden leaves crunched under my tires pulling into the driveway, the first unease flickered when I spotted her car absent from its usual spot beside the hydrangea bush drooping with purple blooms heavy from dew. Inside, the house felt off. The fridge hummed louder than usual, its door ajar, spilling cold air that raised goosebumps on my arms, and a half-eaten pear sat browning on the counter, juice pooling sticky and warm. I called her name, voice bouncing off the empty living room where her sketch pads lay scattered like fallen soldiers, pencils rolling to the rug's frayed edge. No answer. Then my phone buzzed with a bank alert. My savings account, the one I'd poured bakery profits into for our shared remodel, drained by $47,000 in transfers I never authorized. Heart pounding like a drum in my chest, I logged in, fingers slick with sudden sweat on the keyboard, tracing the transactions to her login from our home IP. The gut punch landed when I confronted her later that night, the screen door slamming behind her as she stumbled in, reeking of cheap wine and cigarette smoke, clinging to her wool coat like a second skin. "What the hell, Lena?" I demanded, shoving the laptop under her nose, the fan whirring hot against my wrist. She blinked, eyes glassy under the pendant light's harsh yellow glare, then smirked, lips curling slow. "You were always too trusting, sis. Signing those joint papers made it easy to reroute your funds into my new venture. Consider it an investment. You'll thank me when it pays off." Her words froze my blood, each syllable dripping like ice water down my spine. Because joint papers? We'd never signed anything beyond the mortgage. Rage bubbled, hot and acidic in my throat. But she just laughed, tossing her keys onto the hook with a metallic jangle, sauntering upstairs as if she'd won. I replayed that smirk in my mind through the sleepless night, the clock's digital red numbers ticking past 3 a.m., sheets twisted damp around my legs from feverish sweats. By dawn, the betrayal sank deeper when I dug into her laptop, left carelessly open on the kitchen island, its keys still warm from use. Emails flooded the screen, dozens to a shady developer named Marco, promising my bakery's lot as collateral for her venture, a boutique she claimed would rival mine, but was really a Ponzi scheme sucking in our cousin's retirement nests. One thread chilled me, her forwarding my client list, the one I'd handwritten in my leather-bound book smelling of vanilla extract and fresh ink, to competitors for a cut. Worse, text to Aunt Rita, our only living relative, guilting her into wiring $22,000 with lies about my financial mismanagement. Rita's shaky signature on the transfer confirmation staring back like a knife twist. Escalation hit like a freight train the next week, ripping through our family web with barbed wire. First, the bank froze both our accounts pending fraud investigation, but Lena had already funneled my $47,000 into offshore wires I trenched via frozen transaction logs printed on crisp, ink-sharp paper that crinkled under my furious grip. Cousin Jamal called sobbing, his voice crackling over the line from his garage workshop where oil fumes probably choked the air. She'd convinced him to co-sign a loan using my address, now collectors pounding on his door, their fists thudding like bass drums threatening repossession of his tools, each gleaming wrench a lifeline to his mechanic dreams. Then Aunt Rita showed up unannounced, her frail hands trembling as she clutched a crumpled eviction notice, the paper's edges frayed from her worried folds. Lena had forged my endorsement on Rita's deed, flipping it to her developer pal for $180,000, leaving Rita homeless, her sparse apartment keys jingling uselessly in her pocket. Fallout snowballed. My bakery orders plummeted after her leaked client list let rivals undercut prices, customers' footsteps fading from my daily rush, the bell above the door tinkling mockingly empty. Lena vanished for days, her room reeking of stale perfume and unwashed sheets when I finally kicked the door open, floorboards splintering under my heel. She partied with Marco's crowd, Instagram stories flaunting champagne flutes fizzing gold under club lights, tagging our family home as if it were hers alone. Jamal confronted her at a gas station, pump clicking off mid-fill, as she sneered and drove away, tires screeching on gravel that pelted his truck like shrapnel. Rita collapsed from stress, her hospital gown starched and cold against her skin, monitors beeping erratic rhythms while nurses' rubber soles squeaked on linoleum. I footed the bills. My emergency cash dwindled to fumes, the coppery taste of panic constant on my tongue. Lena texted once, "Collateral damage, sis. Adapt or sink." Each thread pulled tighter, binding her victims in shared grief, but igniting my core with unquenchable fire. Grief wrapped around me like a sodden blanket fresh from the rain, heavy and suffocating as I sat in the bakery after hours, the ovens cooling to a dull warmth that did nothing for the chill in my bones. Dough rose sluggishly in steel bowls, yeast's faint yeasty tang mocking my stalled life, while outside, wind howled through the alley, rattling the dumpster lids like distant thunder. I pored over her digital trail, breath fogging the laptop screen, uncovering the smoking gun, a DNA paternity test contract hidden in her cloud drive, printed now in my hands, its glossy paper smooth and damning, confirming she'd pose as me to claim Dad's unclaimed estate share, $92,000 diverted from our joint inheritance before his will even cleared probate. The lab's sterile blue logo stared up, barcode crisp under fluorescent hum. Deeper dives revealed her web, forged emails to the probate court using my scanned signature from a birthday card, inkjet lines bleeding slightly on the copy I held, smelling faintly of toner. Marco's contracts detailed her kickbacks, $15,000 per referral, including Jamal's loan docs with my bakery's EIN stamped fraudulently on each. Rita's deed forgery matched handwriting samples I'd kept from Mom's recipe book, Lena's looping L's identical under magnification with my jeweler's loop, glass cool against my eye. Text to a lawyer buddy promised sister's assets as leverage, time-stamped from our kitchen Wi-Fi during our coffee chats. The DNA report's fine print exposed exploded it all. She'd submitted cheek swabs from my hairbrush, bristles still carrying my coconut shampoo scent, to fake kinship proofs. Each revelation peeled back layers of our bond, exposing rot I'd ignored, tears salting my lips as I pieced the puzzle in the dim light, shadows stretching long across the flour-dusted floor. Rage crystallized into calculation that night, my mind sharpening like a blade on whetstone, the gritty scrape echoing in my skull as I paced the cool tile floor barefoot, toes curling against its chill. No more tears. I mapped the revenge in meticulous strokes, starting with the probate court,
gathering Rita's deed original from her safety deposit box, its metal door groaning open under fluorescent bank lights, Key's teeth biting my palm. I notarized affidavits from Jamal, his oil-stained fingers smudging the pages, then cross-referenced Lena's emails with IP logs subpoenaed via a pro bono lawyer aunt's contact, paper stacks thumping onto my table like ammunition crates. Logistics locked in, I hacked her developer deal by alerting Marco anonymously through a burner app, attaching the DNA contract scan, its edges taped meticulously to avoid folds, prompting his panicked audit that froze her payouts. For the bank, I filed fraud claims with timestamps matching her logins, securing $47,000 restitution wired directly to victims' accounts, my fingers flying over keys warmed by friction. Jamal's loan? I negotiated directly with collectors using her forged docs as leverage, their voices tinny over speakerphone while I sipped chamomile tea, steaming hot in a mug gripped tight. Rita's home reverted via quiet title action, clerk stamp thudding satisfyingly on forms. Each step chained precisely. Monday court filing, Tuesday bank freeze on her new accounts, Wednesday Marco's call log subpoenaed. I even ceded a tip to her boutique suppliers about bounced checks, their ink barely dry on her orders. The plan hummed like a well-oiled engine, every gear turning toward her downfall, my pulse steady now, eager for the clash. The showdown unfolded in Mom's orchard at dusk, peach trees silhouetted against the blood-orange sky, their branches heavy with fruit that bruised soft underfoot, releasing juice sticky between my toes as I waited on the weathered picnic bench, its splintered pine rough against my palms. This spot symbolized everything. Our girlhood picnics, laughter bubbling like the nearby creek's gurgle, now loaded with betrayal's weight. Lena arrived cocky, heels sinking into the loamy soil, designer purse swinging, smirking as she approached, the fading light glinting off Dad's brass keychain dangling from her zipper, the one she'd twisted so often. "Come to grovel?" she taunted, circling me like a shark, voice syrupy with false pity. "Your little evidence hunt? Cute." But Marco laughed it off. "Deals are sealed, sis." She leaned in, breath hot with mint gum, eyes gleaming triumphant as she waved a phone screenshot of her latest wire confirmation, pixels sharp in the twilight. For one endless minute, she monologued victory, how she'd always been the smarter one, my bakery a joke next to her empire, victims mere stepping stones, her laughter echoing sharp against the trees rustling in the breeze. Wind cooled my sweat-damp neck, but I stayed silent, letting her swell with false power, fingers itching in my pocket around the notarized packet. Then I rose slow, gravel crunching under my boots, and slapped the DNA contract onto the bench between us, its glossy surface gleaming like judgment. "Read the fine print, Lena. The lab flagged the swab mismatch. Your forgery unravels everything." Her face drained to ash gray, lips parting fish-like as I unfolded the rest, court summonses fluttering down like autumn leaves, Marco's panicked voicemail blaring from my phone speaker, his voice gravelly with rage. She's toxic, deals off, and I'm pressing charges. Jamal's affidavit next, Rita's deed reversal stamped official, bank restitution confirmations, crisp and final. She lunged for them, nails scraping wood, but I stepped back, the orchard's earthy musk grounding me. "You thought you'd win here where Mom taught us loyalty? Your empire crumbles. $47,000 back, Jamal's loan voided, Rita's home secured, your boutique suppliers blacklisting you tomorrow." She crumbled, knees hitting dirt clods soft from recent rain, sobs racking her frame as fireflies blinked on, mocking her ruin. I turned, the keychain's faint jingle in my pocket, lifted during her rant, a final twist, its engraved initials now mine alone.